Hey guys, so what we're going to be doing is talking about AC compressor replacement, removal, the whole 9 yards with it on anything from an '07 Nitro, Dodge Nitro to 2011, 2012. Also on the same platform as the Jeep Liberties. Same year, same models, all that jazz. So it's the same engine, same drivetrain for the 3.7 motor anyways. I know the 4.0, they do have an AC compressor. It is a different setup. So, what the issue was is that specifically in my issue, that you're looking at the clutch coil. The clutch coil was not engaging when you hit the AC button because that the AC plate, the clutch plate wasn't engaging onto the pulley because the AC compressor coil was not working. I tested it with the voltmeter for continuity on the pigtail. That had no continuity, zero, nothing was passing through it at all. So that was shot. And come to find out, when I do get the pulley off, that the bearing was also shot too. So more than likely, the bearing that blew out, and it was actually missing a couple ball bearings. It took out the coil with it as well. I tried going the cheap option and replacing those two, which ended up not working out the way it should have, because in the process of putting in the bearing, and one side was probably pushed in about 1/32 farther in than the other side is, so it was not properly seated. And along with the coil, I think that I was sent the wrong type of coil. I don't know, it must have been like millimeters bigger, because the coil would hit on the inside of the pulley and drag, so it just wasn't going to work. And maybe in your case you'd have better luck, but me pressing in the bearing between all that, and something just came out of whack with it, and it just wasn't going to work. So taking the cheap way out wasn't not successful for me. The only way to get this right was to replace the whole thing with a reman. I got it from Napa, $273 before tax, with their 10% reservation offline, all that jazz. So that was the only option left for me to get this working right and getting my AC back. So what I had to do to get at this, to get proper clearance, I've seen you take out the airbox. Now you're gonna see three. You're gonna see three of these right here. So the airbox just pops out. There's no screws, nothing like that. It just pops right out. You can clean it up. More than likely it has dirt in the bottom of it. Just pops right out, and then this just pops right out for the inlet tube for the air. And that's held on with a fastener in the back, right along the radiator wall, the plastic fastener, anyways. And the main thing that you want to take out is the reservoir, fluid reservoirs. You got 3 screws on the top, 1, 2, and 3. Then you also have 2 more screws. They're going to be mounted on the sidewall, or the firewall, not the firewall, the freaking radiator, right next to the radiator. You got one right there, and then you have another right there. Now these screws are 2 different sizes. These are for the top, right there. Those are, what size is this? This Torx screw is a T20. This is going to be a next size up, so you don't want to strip those, because then you're not going to have a good day. But then I just moved it out of the way. I removed hose for the radiator that goes into the radiator cap for the overflow, and then I just shifted it up out of the way. I don't need to completely remove it, because if I have to remove it and then I take out the washer fluid hoses and it just drains out the washer fluid out of the reservoir for hours on end, no point in doing that. So you can just move it out of the way, good to go. Got to remove your belt. You got 3 bolts right here. You got 1 bolt right there, you got another bolt right there, and then you also have a bolt way in the back right there. That bolt you're looking right at there. It pops right out, and then you also got to take out your high pressure side and your low pressure side for that. They just screw out that. Reminder or helpful tip: remember to take out those stud bolts, and don't turn in one of your stud bolts in with your cord, because you need both of those stud bolts. I forgot, it went over my head that I returned the core with one of the stud bolts in there. Definitely need it. Got lucky, found the right thread size, right length, works fine. It's tight as a whistle. So you're also going to need fluids, and you're going to need some specifics. You're going to need a vacuum pump. That's from Harbor Freight. It's about $70 with a coupon. You're also going to need manifold gauges. You're going to be looking at the high pressure and the low pressure side, both of that. So you're gonna need that. It's about 30 bucks. If you want to do this right, do it 100%. You're gonna need to get that vacuumed out, make sure all the air is out of it, and more than likely, if my situation, I don't necessarily need to replace the accumulator, dryer, or the condenser, because I didn't have a actual AC condenser fail. Nothing metal, was blown into it. It wasn't working because of the clutch plate, or the clutch coil wasn't working. Doesn't necessarily mean that the compressor itself failed, so I'm not going to go and spend an extra $200 on replacing that and ripping my whole front apart. But if that was a situation where this was spinning, you press your AC button, the clutch plate was spinning, and you were getting no AC, and basically if you would let it run for so long with no Freon in there, you can seize the compressor, and that's shot. And that's where you want to replace the dryer and the accumulator and the condenser, because then you'll have metal pieces shooting throughout the system. You don't want that stuff in there when you replace the compressor, because it's just going to destroy this compressor. So that being said, you're also going to need some fluids along with this. You're going to need refrigerant oil. Let's see, this sticker was on there on the pump or the compressor when I got it. I got PAG 100 refrigerant oil. This is all from Napa. You need that. You need that oil. You're gonna need most repair shops use dye now in case of any future problems, any leaks. This is something that is very handy. You can also use this. This is refrigerant oil too with UV dye. So you need this or you need that. You don't need both. You don't need the refrigerant oil and that. Just one or the other. But you're gonna want to use this just because if you have any leaks, you can use a UV light. You can find where that leak is coming from and fix it. So you aren't chasing over all high hell to try and find out where this leak is coming from. And with the manifold gauges, so basically what's going to happen is that you're gonna hook up the low pressure side, the high pressure side, open this all up. You're going to want to make sure that it's open on the bottom too, on these valves. Then well, sorry, I'm not as specific as Chris Fix or anybody else, but this is the gist of it. You're going to be watching where this is going. You're going to be watching. Well, these gauges are stuck right now for some reason. You're going to be looking. You're going to be looking at that. You're going to want this hose connected. This is your supply hose, your return line, whatever it may be, to the vacuum pump here. This is going to vacuum that out. You're going to want to vacuum out the system as much as you can for about half an hour or so, and then you're going to shut that off, close these off. Then you're going to want to hold that pressure there. You want to make sure that this, when it comes down to 0 and you start vacuum on it, it's going to hit about 30, below 30. And you want to make sure that once you stop the vacuum pump, that this is going to want to stay at 30. If this starts rising back towards 0, you got a leak in the system. Unfortunately, I do. That is my situation right now, and that's why I have the UV dye in there, because along with my clutch coil, now I have a leak as well. So now I have to chase that. Yay me. So after you see that, about half an hour if you're lucky, and you see that the system is not leaking, you're good to go. Perfect. Then you're gonna need one of these. You're gonna need a tap valve for the Freon to tap into that, because you're gonna hook up this tap valve to this side of the hose right there, and you're gonna open up your Freon. You're gonna start letting it flood in there, and you're gonna want to read specifics on what you need. Now, I know Dodge says 1.12, however, they do have a service bulletin that this is 20 ounces. 1.12 pounds is 20 ounces. They did have a revision on that to about 1 pound, or a little over 1 pound. They're calling for 18 ounces instead of the 20 that this is what the sticker is calling for. So that is something to keep in mind in what you're using, because regular small can like that is 12 ounces. I also had a big can that was 18 ounces, so it just filled the whole system. But I did get this can over here that was 12 ounces, but it has oil in it, so it says it instantly lubricates new compressors and absorbs some moisture inside. So that's a good thing for getting that. That's definitely something that I would probably recommend. And I also got the other one because it has this nice little gauge on that you can use, put it on any hose or any can for that matter. And so then you're going to refill it up. You're going to hit the AC button. You're going to want to hit that, at least about 10 times, shut it on and off to cycle it through to, properly break in the compressor. And then you're going to want to check for, obviously, your cold air, how cold it is. It should be getting colder the longer you run it, and then you should be good to go. If you have no leaks. If you have a leak in the system, you can charge it, but you're going to want to keep a continuous eye on where that pressure is, because you don't want that Freon to leak out to the point where it's low. You don't want the Freon to run out, because that's what's going to cause the A compressor to go boom. You don't want that. So that being said, basically it's just a matter of me putting this back together, put the air box back in, bolt this back together. That's about it. And the biggest problem is that you're spending $300 for a new AC compressor. You don't have to spend $700, $800, $1,000 for somebody else to do it, when you can spend $300 on that. Or if you've gone through this before, you can have the vacuum pump and the manifold gauges for future cars, anything like that. It's an investment. Or you can do it on a customer's car, anything like that. Make your money back on what you spent for that by doing this for a friend, anything like that. Charge them half the price that you would charge, or a shop would charge. $100 an hour. That's insane. Why should I spend $1,000 when I can do this for myself for less than half the price? You know what I'm saying? So that's all there is to it. If you guys have any questions, you can leave them in the comments. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. I've owned this for about 2 years, so I know this pretty much inside and out. One thing I will recommend is at 130,000 miles, you're going to be looking at changing wheel bearings. If you drive this like a normal person, wheel bearings is definitely going to be something that you're going to want to look into. Other than that, that's about it. This is a good opportunity if your belt's shot, if you haven't had that replaced after about 70,000 miles. It's a good idea to get that replaced while you're in here too. That's about $30. So other than that, I'd say that's about it. So have a good one.